Here we are back on the 611 podcast. Jimmy Rollins, Ryan Howard, and we have a special guest, a man that we get to call our cap partner ambassador, a veteran of the game, a man who also has aspirations of being an owner, president of baseball ops, whatever it is that needs to do to be ran a team. He's willing to do it. Our man, our guest, Jed Lowrie. Thanks for coming on today, Jed. Appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you, Jimmy. Thank you, Ryan.
He's the perfect guy to
Perfect.
do it too. He is the
You couldn't
guy.
have thought of anyone better. All right, Jed. We are aware of the numbers for Game 7.
Mhm.
Yes.
With that, what I would like to call the growth or the return of America's pastime.
Yes.
We have so many international players in this game right now. We had the U.S. versus Canada. We had L.A. versus Toronto. We had Kendrick versus Drake all over again. And it could not have been watched
Yes.
by more people, if I could think about it. Baseball is, we've kind of seen it go up and down. We've seen other sports literally take the lead, just kind of just leapfrog baseball in regard to viewership. We haven't had
Right.
that concert moment in a long time. But this World Series, this Game 7, Los Angeles Dodgers versus Toronto Blue Jays, we had that World Series concert moment, and I think it was long overdue. Right, read the numbers, man. You know, you have those Spectra Vision.
Let me
Yes,
take a gander here. Game 7, 2025, presented by Capital One, averaged 51 million viewers combined across the United States, Canada, and Japan. All right. So let's start there for a second. I think that's the highest numbers in what I think it was like 34 years or something like that since what
91
the 91
series.
World Series.
Yep. Exactly.
Okay. Let's start there. 51 million viewers across Canada, Japan, and the United States. Now, as we've said, as Jimmy said, it's America's pastime, which is growing into the world's game, right? Because you look at how many people from Japan were watching this game, how many people from Canada were watching this game, and the growth in getting baseball back to where it was at the top. This certainly adds to that and starts to put you in the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, I'll chip in here too. Just the excitement of these games. I mean, when you have international stars like Ohtani, like Yamamoto, and then you're including Toronto, who it was just the entire country of Canada is just thirsty for the game. It's just it's an amazing platform, and I think Major League Baseball has done a great job of building this foundation for which the game can continue to grow.
This is something that we've been wanting for a long time. We get to work with Rob, in a sense, with CAP, the Commissioner's Ambassador Program. Yeah. And we've heard him talk about, how he wants to grow the game. We've sat there and we saw the numbers, how baseball was really just getting passed over. If you're the commissioner of baseball, you might be one day. We don't know. You might be one day. But if you're the commissioner of baseball, what's your message? What's your message?
Yeah, I'll try to put that. Those are big shoes to fill. Nothing but positivity. I mean, how could you look at this World Series, this postseason in general, as anything but positive and creating huge momentum and finding ways to, bring more people into the game. And I think what excites me more, just as much as anything else, is the domestic engagement in the game, the amount of markets that are consuming baseball domestically as well as internationally. So, obviously the stars, like I said, Ohtani, Yamamoto, excuse me, bringing back the Japanese viewers that those two players did by themselves, but just the domestic energy that I think both of us felt, or all three of us felt in LA, and you just have this excitement, palpable excitement about the game. the games have gotten more easier to they've gotten easier to consume with things like the pitch clock. They're implementing things that give the fans what they want, right? And I think that is more action in the game. Home runs are fun, but the way the game is played reminds me of the game that I think all three of us grew up watching.
So, Jed, I got a question for you. How do we keep it going?
Yeah.
Right? How do we keep this momentum coming off of this great and amazing and exciting World Series? How do we keep that momentum going forward for the 2026 season? I mean, obviously we got the collective bargaining agreement coming up at the end of 2026.
Sure.
And right now we want to continue to ride this high. So how do we keep this momentum going?
Well, I mean, I know there's an initiative. I think the games got right around 2 hours and 40 minutes this year. I believe the goal is to get them down to 2:30. It might not sound like a lot, but I think those 10 minutes do make a big difference just with the cadence of the game, keeping guys, fans engaged. So I think continuing to make the game consumable, not just as a TV product, but in person as well. I think the pitch clock has made the game on TV a better product. And you don't even notice the pitch clock. I mean, I don't know how many games I watched this year, but the pitch clock, I was actually, I was very concerned when we started talking about the pitch clock as a player. I thought that was something that differentiated us from the other games, the fact that there was no clock. And I, happy to admit I couldn't have been more off base on that, right? Like I genuinely believe the pitch clock has changed. And like I said this earlier, but it has taken us back to the way the cadence of the game was played when we were growing up, when we played the game, or, when we were learning and watching the game. And I think that the analytics of the game, the problem with the analytics is that they're right, and that the analytics, what I mean, and the analytics are what eventually led to these longer game times, because they incentivize the things in the game that take longer, right? More foul balls because hitters are trying to hit a home run or walk every at bat. Pitchers trying to strike somebody out or get swings and misses every single pitch, because that's what these guys were being evaluated on. And so when your incentive is to do the things that slow the game down, the game is going to slow down.
And I like to throw in there something that I think is very relevant to the game continuing this momentum. And I'll start here from my lifetime. You have the Showtime Lakers, right? You had the Chicago Bulls in their run. In recent times, you got the Golden State Warriors and their championship run. Tom Brady and the Patriots and their championship runs. The Chiefs and their championship runs. And right now, what's looking like the start of the Eagles' championship runs. Are we seeing that with the Los Angeles Dodgers, a team that is dominant, so dominant that a part of you wants to see them lose because they're that good? Like, not as in we want to see them lose, like who can beat them? And it's like, show me who can beat them, because we can't see across the board that we can just write a team up there like, yeah, this team can knock them down. It doesn't happen. They're that dominant. As part of this momentum, the Dodgers living up to those expectations. They spent all this money. They have for sure the best player on the planet, but some of the best players combined. Do they need to keep this going? Do we need a three-peat? Do they win, 6 out of the next 8? What does that look like? I think, obviously with the CBA aside, if the Dodgers keep this going, I think that keeps the momentum in baseball going. Just like, the Yankees and the late 90s, we were sitting there like, who's going to beat the Yankees? It seemed like every single year it was a Yankees championship to lose. And we looked forward to not liking the Yankees. Is that what the Dodgers, is that what the Dodgers are for today's game? Look, it is the Dodgers' World Series championship to lose every single year until somebody beats them. And right now, I don't see that happening.
Yeah, and I would say that this is an entertainment product, right? We are in the entertainment industry, and like there's nothing more, close to human nature than having a common enemy, right? And nothing more entertaining than rooting against somebody, right? Now you got this big market that has built this, huge empire, right? And for all intents and purposes, there's a lot of people that kind of want to see that empire come crumbling down, and that's what this is, right? Like this is entertainment, and I think that when with all of the changes that have been made, I think it's been the focus of let's bring the entertainment factor back. Like all the analytics, like I said, they're right. But we can keep that behind the curtain, right? Like we can use that as like the Wizard of Oz, right? Let's keep all the analytics behind the curtain, and let's put on a show.
And they have definitely done that. So we're going to switch speeds, Jed. We're going to have you put on your GM Baseball Ops owner hat because this is our time as free agents.
Hot stove.
That we like to get paid. We put up numbers, we work hard, we get paid handsomely, but this is our time to really, 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 really take advantage of our opportunity at this life-changing money. So, Jed.
Yes.
As a man that played in Houston, you understand that they run a pretty tight budget over there. And Jim Crane doesn't like to pay a dime over the luxury tax, which makes it tough to win, especially with this powerhouse with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But we're talking about a guy that went from Houston, is now in Chicago, and is going to demand a lot of money, and Kyle Tucker. Where do you see him going? If you could say if there's any fit that you like for him, and is there a number that you would not pay rather?
Ooh, okay. So yeah, I mean the Astros going back to that, I think, to give Jim credit, like he will do whatever it takes to win. Right. But I look at what his payroll is in 2025 at, $224 million, and what their commitments are in 2026 at $222 million. That doesn't look like there's a lot of money to be spent, right? Unless the budget is going up. So is Tucker a great fit in Houston still? Yeah, I think so. But if I'm looking at it, it's hard not to say that the Dodgers aren't in play. Right. I think you look at Teoscar, and you look at the defensive upgrade that Kyle Tucker brings, and you put Teoscar in left field. It brings even more balance with a left-handed bat, another left-handed bat in that lineup. So the Dodgers have to be in play. They're going to be in play for pretty much every big free agent. Like I said, with the amount of revenue that they're generating, interest, I mean, people want to play for them too. So I can't imagine that Kyle Tucker won't be discussed in the Dodgers front office. The other one, the one that when I started digging into this, that was really intriguing to me, that might be a little bit of a flyer, is the Orioles. So the Orioles, I was looking, they got $160 million payroll in 2025, and they only have 82 million. They have 82 million committed for 2026. So that makes me think that there should be some money to be spent. And then I look at the depth chart, and you got a young kid in Dylan Beavers who came up, performed well. But you're kind of have this window in Baltimore too, where you got the Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holidays, Jordan Westberg, Kobe Mayo, Adley Rutschman, Samuel Basayo, right? So you're pretty confident if you're the Orioles in who you're throwing out there in the infield. Then you got Colton Cowser, you got Dylan Beavers, and you got Tyler O'Neill. You've also got Jorge Mateo and Dylan Carlson on the depth chart. But Kyle Tucker instantly becomes their best outfielder. And, they've got some pitching to shore up as well. But from a lineup perspective, I actually think that this might be a better fit than the Dodgers. And if they have the money to spend, which, based on the commitments that they have in 2026, I would love to see the Orioles pursue Tucker.
So what I'm hearing is no reunion, no Carlos Correa reunion because they don't have the money. We already know Chicago Cubs doesn't have the money. No. The Dodgers, who have They can print money. We don't say they have. They can just
Everybody.
invent. They just out of thin
Right.
air. Let's go ahead and create. And the Baltimore Orioles, I
Uh,
did not see that coming. Wow.
No,
I figured that would that would throw you
Yeah.
guys off. That's I wanted
that's
to
actually a really good fit.
yeah, I like I said, I think that I think that given their payroll commitments and where they are in their cycle, I think if they could add somebody like Tucker, and then maybe add another arm, maybe two, I really like the fit.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
That's
Yes.
very
Yes.
interesting.
I have another run. I'm gonna let you get out there. I have another one staying in Houston,
Yeah.
although he most likely will not stay in Houston. Flamber Valdez. Now it's projected. It's projected. He's at 6 years, somewhere between
Mm,
170 to 190 million. Now,
yeah.
places that immediately came to mind for me was Toronto. Like I think he would
Mm-hmm.
absolutely
Hmm.
do well in Toronto. We've all
Yep.
played there, and I
Mm-hmm.
swear, and unless it's changed, I swear they have the tallest mound in baseball, and he's a sinker baller. That ball is falling off the
Hmm.
table. That
Yeah.
change up and that backdoor curveball, absolutely filthy. And if you're Toronto, you weren't one pitcher away, but you are going to have to make some changes. You're probably going to lose Bieber to free agency.
Mm,
I think he's a great fit.
Hmm.
He's
yeah.
young. He's a long term. He's proven that he can
Mm,
pitch in the postseason. The Cubs. Oh man, the Cubs can definitely use
mm-hmm.
some pitching.
Yeah. That's
They
another
can use
team.
some pitching. I think with pitching, maybe that series against Milwaukee, or maybe the season against Milwaukee is flipped. But I think that would be my third spot. My top two is Toronto, but my number one, a place that is always pitching rich, probably one of the most pitcher friendly ballparks in Major League Baseball, the San Francisco Giants. My
Mm-hmm.
take,
Hmm.
Jed, let's hear it.
Yeah, I know I like all that. The two that I wrote down, one was the Blue
Mm-hmm.
Jays. And then I do like your Giants pick there or fit. And they look like they have some room. They had 177 million dollars in payroll in 25 and 150 million dollars committed for next year. And they have a need. They actually have a couple needs. So but I think pitching is at the top of that list. The one that you didn't talk about that I think just because of the desire from ownership, the New York Mets.
Yeah.
And
That's
if
what I
you
was
look
going to
at
say. The Mets.
yeah, and if you look at their payroll at 340 million, their commitments for 2026 224 million.
They have
So
plenty of room.
if Steve Cohen
Yeah.
is ready to meet that number again, there is a lot of money and then if you look even further, 2027 he's down to 153 million of commitments and 28 down to 117. So they got a lot of money coming off the books. And a guy that is effective as Framber Valdez is, I think that's a pretty good long term fit for the Mets too, and they appear to have money to spend.
Jed, I didn't leave that off. Between Ryan and I, we don't need him to go to the Mets.
Right.
sorry. I didn't consider that. I didn't consider
But
that.
he would be a great fit over
No
there
doubt.
in New York, because I was thinking about that. Like if you throw him in that rotation up there, he could definitely do some damage up there.
Yeah.
Now, we need to talk about some bats.
Yes.
With big arms, we got some big bats. And we
Yeah.
got to talk about the man, Schwarber.
Yes.
Kyle Schwarber. We got to see where that's the hot topic, is where does Kyle Schwarber end up? Where do you see him, Jed?
I can't see him anywhere else but Philadelphia. I mean, it just the fit is too good. I mean, you guys would know this better than I would, but I mean, he's kind of a folk legend up there already, and I think that I think he has to end up back in Philly. I mean, if we're just looking at the numbers, $290 million 2025 payroll. 227 million committed for 2026. I can't see the Phillies letting him slip through their fingers.
How many years and what's the number? Because what is Schwartz? 31 or so, 33, somewhere in between that.
Yeah, born in 93.
Okay.
So he'll be 33 next.
How many years do we expect him to perform this way? He's going to DH, and I want to throw something else
for
out
sure.
there at you while you're in there. is there a possible reunion with the Cubs? Tucker's coming out. Tucker's way too much.
Right.
Kyle is,
Yeah.
although he's a DH, or do you want to lock up a DH? But he's
Yeah.
definitely going to be more manageable for our salary and years compared to a Tucker. So I want to throw that in there with the mix. After you give us this, how many years? What's the number? And is there a possible reunion with the Cubs?
I'm gonna throw some extra croutons on that salad. I'm gonna go ahead and add. Can he potentially go back to Boston?
Yeah. I mean, I think, if you're looking, it's hard not to say that the Red Sox aren't a fit. I mean, listen, that's the thing about Kyle Schwarber. He's a fit anywhere, right? Like pretty much, like you look at any team that could afford Kyle Schwarber's services, it's hard not to put him in the middle of your lineup, or I guess in the Phillies case, in the leadoff spot. Right. You got a guy who is getting on base for, as a career 346. And I mean, if you look at the statistics from 23, I mean, there's been virtually no drop off. And actually, I'm not sure that this lasts, but the sprint speed has actually gotten better over the last 2 years. So, I don't know if that's sustainable, but that to me indicates that he takes his body seriously, right? And that he's working hard to stay in shape, which, you gotta, as a DH, it's hard to do, right? There's a lot of, there's a lot of just sitting around waiting for your next at bat. And it's easy to put on weight and to lose sprint speed, lose, explosiveness. And so I think if I'm looking at, even 2023 sprint speed, the fact that he's aged and that has gone up, even though it's within a couple of, percentiles, like it's still impressive that he has gotten faster as he's aged. And so I think that's a really good trend. I mean, I wouldn't be afraid of a 5-year deal with Kyle Schwarber just because of just because of his ability to, recognize pitches. I mean, the guy's in the 86th percentile for chase. He doesn't go out of the zone. He walks a ton. The bat speed is still in the 98th percentile. I mean, the guy is just, he is the ultimate hitter.
No doubt, right? I think he's working. He must have heard about your 3 triples in a week. So he's like, I'm coming for it, player. I'm gunning for it. But look, if you've seen his body, bro, like from when he first got into the league to where he is now, he's definitely invested a lot of money into himself. He's taking it serious, and I'm not surprised now that you say that his sprint speed has gone up. He's got that sneaky speed, as Ryan likes to say, that sneaky speed. You don't see him bend in a corner and then he turns around, sliding third, looking at dugout because he's leading the team in triples for a week.
Nobody's going to pay him. Nobody's going to pay him for his base running, right? But I think that I look at that as kind of a snapshot into the athlete and how much he, cares and invests into his body.
Love that.
Do you drop him in, more of those traditional roles, that 2-3 or that 3-4, right? Where he's comfortable at the very top of the lineup, because we talked about it, Jay, and hitting that 3-4 hole is a different mindset than hitting 1-2. So best way to utilize him. I mean, he's versatile in that aspect to where, I think he can make the adjustment, but how does it look in terms of from a team standpoint where you're looking for, hey, we want those 40, but we want you to hit 40 with 150. Like the old school type numbers, so that'll be an interesting look as well. But as we move on, this one is a true professional right here. We got Alex Bregman, currently with the Red Sox. What's our thought process there, Jed? Where
before you jump in, I don't think he leaves. I don't think he leaves. We've
I don't think so either.
We've heard a lot about him loving Boston, buying into it. I think he's affordable. You lost Devers and brought in Bregman. I don't think if you're Boston, you let Bregman go. I mean, unless you let Devers go, unless there's a long-term game plan for Bregman. That's all I have to say. I'm jumping out.
No, I don't disagree with that. I think the Red Sox. If I'm looking at and we kind of talked about this offline before we started recording, but I'm kind of looking at Bregman and Bichette, right? As guys, I don't want to call them interchangeable because they're not the same player, but I think they're I think Bichette's versatility plays into some of this stuff, some of these decisions. And I mean, kind of like Schwarber, where you could kind of plug him into any lineup. I think Bregman and Bichette are very similar in that regard. I got a long list of teams that I think could fit. I think the Red Sox are an obvious one. I think the Blue Jays are an interesting one. With what they do at third base, and it will just depend on their other moves and what their priorities are. We talked about the Mets earlier. The Mets have Vientos and Beatty. Kind of, you could move either one of those guys to first base, and or DH, and you could use a rotating DH, especially if Bregman. So I could see the Mets, especially with the money that we talked about that's available. It's just hard not to include them in any of these big name free agents because of how aggressive ownership has been and the desire from Steve Cohen to win, right? The two that I'm going to throw at you that I think may not be as talked about as much that I think are fits. I'm going to start with the Mariners. The Mariners have 166 million committed, in 2025, 127 in 2026 commitment, and then all the way down to 59 million for 2027.
A lot of money left over to play with.
There's a lot of money there. And then you start looking at their depth chart and where they ended up, that close to the World Series this year. And, you got Leo on their depth chart right now. You got Leo Rivas and you got Miles Mastrobuoni on there. Bregman is an upgrade for virtually everybody in the league. It is a huge upgrade for the Mariners. They do have a couple of young kids, in Colt Emerson and Cole Young. Cole Young came up as a 22-year-old this year, and he did okay, but there's some growth still there. Cole Emerson's only 20, but killed it at AAA this year. I mean, as a 20-year-old, hit 285 with a 383 on base and a 458 slug at AAA in Tacoma, which we'll take it. We'll take it with a grain of salt because of the league that he's playing in. But Tacoma is not the most hitter friendly ballpark in that league. So I got to assume that they're very excited about Colt Emerson, but I think the Mariners are a spot that if they're not considering Bregman with the pitching staff that they have, I don't know where they spend money in the free agent market. I got to assume that the Mariners, if the Mariners aren't aggressive with Bregman or Bichette, I think I would be disappointed as a Mariner fan.
That's a dark horse. I did not have Mariners on my bingo card.
This is why we have Jed on the show. Jed is our resident GM right now. He is that guy.
I think we got to have him permanently as a friend of the show. That's what I'm thinking.
That's it.
The other one that I want to throw out there as a total wild card, the Rangers. So I think if you start talking about the Rangers and 224 million of payroll in 2025, 183 million committed in 2026. That, and you look at the depth chart of the Rangers, I think a lot depends on how confident they are in Eovaldi coming back, because they had DeGrom and Eovaldi kind of carry that rotation, and if they're going to plug in, be more aggressive in the pitching market. But if not, I mean, your third base depth chart right now, you got Josh Young, who I think you could move Josh to first base. The first base depth chart right now is Ezekiel Duran, Josh Smith, Jake Berger, and Jock Peterson. You got Jock for one more year. You could rotate DH between, Jake, Jock, and then Bregman if you needed to. So I think that one maybe is a little bit more of a long shot, but I did see a fit for the Rangers at third base because I think you could move Josh Young to first.
Got one more for you. One more for you.
Yes.
We touched on them, and I think, and I'm glad we saved them for last because I see him least likely going anywhere. He was
Yeah.
a World Series hero if you're the Toronto Blue Jays. He came back, played
Yep.
virtually on one leg, and almost carried you over the top.
Mm-hmm.
He's fathered in, shall we say, but he has definitely earned his stripes. And I like the kid. I personally think that maybe not at shortstop, maybe switching over to second base, maybe even to third base, if he can push the hammer that hot
Third
corner.
base, yeah.
But I mean, Bichette, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't bring him up. Although I don't think he's going anywhere, we have to talk about it because stranger things have happened. So I'll frame it this
Yep.
way. He's been offered the qualifying offer, obviously $22 million. He's going to turn that down. He's looking for a deal.
Sure.
Excluding the Toronto Blue Jays, give me your top 3 teams for Bichette, excluding Toronto.
Well, I this is where this overlap happens with Bregman, right? I see Red Sox. I think his versatility too. I think his willingness. I agree. I love the kid. I've loved the bat since the day he got into the league. He's a gamer, right? He should have been playing. If that was a regular season game, he's not playing. Right. And a lot of people said, oh, well, the 4th run comes. Well, if Bichette scores on that base hit, I think it was Ernie Clement hit the line drive to right center field. Bichette's on second.
That's it. Yeah, that's true.
But the 3-run homer doesn't happen
if he's not in the lineup.
If you pinch run for him right there. That hit happened relatively early in the game. I forget which inning, but he doesn't come up in that spot and hit the 3-run homer if he's out of the game. So yes, I agree. The Blue Jays have to look at him as a cornerstone to their franchise. I think they do, but I'm gonna look at the Red Sox. I'm for the same reason the Mets, right? The one thing that I do, the one team that I'm going to add in here that wasn't on Bregman is the Giants, actually, because they have Chapman at third base. I could see Bichette fitting at second base with the Giants. Now, that would leave you with a lineup of Devers, Bichette, Willie Adames, and Matt Chapman.
Yeah, that's nasty.
So I like that. And then once again, we talked about the Mariners with Bregman. I said this earlier, but I think if I'm a Mariners fan and they aren't aggressive with Bregman and or Bichette, I think I'm a little disappointed. Jorge Polanco had a great year. He ended up DHing for a lot of it. I don't know if there was injury that he was dealing with that wasn't publicized. But there was a reason they put him at DH towards the end of the year. Bo Bichette's legs are younger, even though he's coming off this knee injury. I think that he's a great fit for the Mariners as well.
Jed, we have here on the 611 podcast, the Banana Boat ritual segment, which is any superstition, something you have to do, something you do to get your mind right. And whether it's in baseball, and we know you're a big golfer, so whether it's in golf now, is there any ritual that you had in your playing days that you went through on a daily routine, or something that you had to do throughout your entire career that got you ready each night to play?
So I'm a big believer in process and routine. So I never viewed it as superstition. So then that from like a physical standpoint, right? Like I wasn't trying to do the same thing over and over again. Like this is a very dynamic game. You're making constant adjustments physically. But what the routine or if you want to call it a superstition was more, Wade Boggs-esque, where instead of eating chicken before the game every day, I would actually have a toasted peanut butter and jelly sandwich every single game before the game.
From A-ball, you just kept that routine.
I literally kept it because you know how the minor leagues were, right? Like you never know what you were getting when you were coming into some of these clubhouses. And it was something that I knew how my body would react to it. We get great food in the big leagues, right? But some of the times I'm not trying to eat a piece of fish before the game because you never know what's going to happen out there. And so, I tried to keep the stomach right, and so I knew exactly what to expect when I ate a toasted peanut butter and jelly every single night before the game. So that was it. I mean, if you were to talk to any clubby, road or home, every single day. Like they would look at me crazy too. Cause it was like, I'm 10, 12, 14 years into my big league career asking for, bread and peanut butter and jelly. And they're like, we got better food than that here. Right.
So I have to ask, what type of bread was it? What it was it type of bread? Honey wheat, white
No,
rye, sourdough?
I would just go, regular white bread, toasted for whatever reason, the crispiness and like, the peanut butter to get just a little bit melty coming out of the toaster. And then always preferred strawberry, some sort of red berry, whether that was strawberry, raspberry, something like that. I'm not a big
I'm
grape
about to say,
jelly fan.
we got to get you over to the grape side, player. Berries are straight, but we got to get you over to the grape because it goes with the Kool-Aid and everything else.
I appreciate grapes in other forms. Let's just put it that way.
Understood.
I'm gonna have to try that toasted PBJ, bro. I've never had that before.
Time out. Ryan.
No, I've never had it, bro. I'm a PB&J fan, bro.
Jed,
I've never had it before.
I can't believe this. I mean, I just learned something new, but I can't believe it. I can't. You never had toasted PB&J, Ryan?
Look, man, don't judge me.
I'm in disbelief. I mean, because if you're a PB&J fan, we all know the elevated version of PB&J involves toasting the bread. Period. That's all.
I've never been elevated. I didn't know it was levels to the I didn't know it was levels to the PB&J, bro. I didn't know it was like that. I'm a strawberry. I go strawberry jelly too.
I'm embarrassed. Like
we can vibe. We'll vibe on that.
Like our producer Jake, behind the scene, he hasn't seen Training Day yet. That's like you not having toasted PB&J.
I was gonna say it too. I was like, this is like a whole Jake experience with Jake not watching Training Day. This is where it gets aggressive.
I'm glad you came on the show because I've learned something about my former teammate and co-host who I've known for 20 plus years.
Just making connections here, boys. Just trying to, get y'all closer.
Life is a game of adjustments. We can make that adjustment, and it's a fixable situation.
It only works. It only works if Jed makes it for you.
Oh, so Jed's got to make it. Okay, gotcha.
So yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think when is the next opportunity? I mean, is this or I was just going to say, like, this might be a segment. This might be a segment right here. The toasted PB&J.
This could be.
It could be.
It could be. Yeah,
toasted PB&J with Jed and Ryan.
That's it. Oh, that'd be it.
Oh man,
that'll be it.
Well, Jed, brother, we appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
You're always welcome. We know you have endeavors. We appreciate you being with Cap. We appreciate what you've done for the game. Always willing to give back. Always willing to talk. Always willing to educate. Yeah. I've learned something. I've learned the mind of a future GM, president, owner, Jed Lowrie, MLB veteran, Cap member, our brother. Thanks for sharing with us your knowledge and your thoughts about some pressing subjects. On top of that, we'll see you in Vegas at the All MLB. We'll be in the MLB Open, airing on TBS, my home station. I look forward to it, fellas.
Can't wait.